Did Nate Tibbetts just admit on camera that the Phoenix Mercury orchestrated the biggest tampering scheme in WNBA history? Because what he said about Dana Bonner's move from Indiana might have exposed a calculated plan that was years in the making. And if you thought the Indiana Fever got played, wait until you hear what the coach himself revealed about Alyssa Thomas's role in making it all happen. The WNBA has seen its share of controversial trades and unexpected roster moves, but nothing in recent memory has sparked the kind of fury that Dana Bonner's departure from Indiana created. When she signed with the Fever during the 2024 offseason, the narrative was picture perfect. Here was a two-time champion, a veteran with championship DNA, coming to mentor the most hyped rookie class in league history. Caitlin Clark, the generational talent from Iowa, was supposed to benefit from Bonner's wisdom. Aliyah Boston, the dominant force in the paint, would have another proven winner to learn from. The front office sold it as the missing piece that would transform Indiana from a lottery team into a playoff contender. Sports analysts ate it up, calling it a masterclass in roster construction. But if you're watching this right now, you already know how badly that plan fell apart. So before we dive into the footage that has everyone calling for investigations, do me a favor. Smash that like button if you think the Mercury should face consequences for what looks like blatant tampering. And drop a comment telling me whether you believe Bonner planned this exit from day one, or if Indiana really was just that bad of a fit. Your engagement helps us keep bringing you the truth that mainstream coverage won't touch. The optimism surrounding Bonner's arrival in Indiana lasted exactly 9 games. 9 games. That's all it took for a supposed veteran leader to decide she wanted out. The official story was about fit, about playing style, about the pace of Indiana's offense not matching what Bonner was comfortable with. The Fever ran a fast-paced system designed to maximize Clark's transition game and Boston's ability to finish in the open court. Bonner, who had thrived in Connecticut's more structured half-court sets, supposedly couldn't adjust. That's what the press releases said anyway. That's what the carefully worded statements from both sides tried to sell. But anyone watching the actual games saw something different. Bonner wasn't struggling because of pace. She was struggling because she looked disengaged from the jump. Her body language on the bench during timeouts told the real story. While teammates huddled close, absorbing coaching instructions, Bonner often sat apart, distant, like someone mentally already somewhere else. The stats backed up what the eye test was screaming. In those 9 games, Bonner averaged just over 6 points and 3 rebounds per contest. For context, this is a player who had averaged double figures for most of her career. She lost her starting spot to Lexi Hull, a younger player who brought energy and fit that Indiana desperately needed. When a veteran of Bonner's caliber gets benched for a role player, something is fundamentally broken. And here's where it gets interesting. Instead of fighting for her spot, instead of showing the championship mentality she was supposedly brought in to demonstrate, Bonner demanded a trade. When that didn't happen fast enough, she requested her release. The Fever, apparently blindsided by how quickly things deteriorated, granted it. She was waived, picked up her guaranteed money, and vanished from Indiana's roster faster than you can say tampering investigation. But that wasn't the whole story, because the internet never forgets, and WNBA fans are some of the most dedicated detectives you'll ever encounter. Within hours of Bonner's release, social media exploded with theories. This wasn't about basketball fit. This was about a plan executed to perfection. Fans started connecting dots that seemed innocent in isolation, but painted a damning picture when viewed together. Bonner's lack of engagement with Indiana's community initiatives, her minimal social media presence as a Fever player, the way she took a personal leave of absence that was never fully explained. Every detail got scrutinized, and a narrative emerged that made way too much sense to ignore. What if Bonner never intended to play out her contract with Indiana? What if she used the Fever to secure a max deal she knew Phoenix couldn't offer, collected her guaranteed money, then forced her way out to land exactly where she wanted to be all along? The Phoenix Mercury had cap space issues. That's documented fact. They couldn't offer Bonner the contract she felt she deserved during the 2024 offseason when she was a free agent. So she signed with Indiana, who had the money and the desperation to pay her what she wanted. But if the plan was always to end up in Phoenix, then Indiana was never the destination. They were the bank. The Fever paid Bonner her guaranteed contract money even after waiving her, which means she got paid twice. Once by Indiana for games she clearly didn't want to play, and then again by Phoenix when they signed her after her release. If that sounds like a scam, that's because to a lot of people, it looked exactly like one. What happened next would shock everyone, because sometimes the truth doesn't come from investigative journalism or leaked documents. Sometimes it comes straight from the mouth of the person who orchestrated the whole thing. Enter Nate Tibbetts, head coach of the Phoenix Mercury, and the man who apparently forgot that cameras were rolling when he decided to brag about his recruitment masterpiece. The clip that went viral wasn't from some secret recording or hot mic moment. It was from a casual post-game interview, the kind of relaxed setting where coaches usually stick to safe talking points about effort and execution. But Tibbetts, clearly feeling good about finally landing his target, said the quiet part out loud in a way that made jaws drop across the league. Luckily, the last 2 off seasons we've tried to get DB to come back to Phoenix, Tibbetts said with a grin that screamed confidence. Unfortunately, she didn't pick us twice. 3rd time is a charm. I think AT helped in that a little bit. DB is Dana Bonner. AT is Alyssa Thomas, Bonner's fiancée, and a star player who just happened to sign with Phoenix herself during the 2025 off-season after years with Connecticut. That last line, about Thomas helping make it happen, was the nuclear bomb that blew up any remaining doubt about what really went down. This wasn't speculation anymore. This was their own head coach admitting on camera that Phoenix had been pursuing Bonner for 2 full off-seasons, which means they were talking to her or about her while she was under contract with other teams. That's textbook tampering under WNBA collective bargaining rules. Let's break down exactly why this matters. Because tampering isn't just some technical violation that league offices ignore. It's a foundational rule designed to protect competitive balance and prevent exactly this kind of orchestrated recruitment. Teams are prohibited from contacting players under contract with other franchises without permission. They can't negotiate, they can't make promises, and they definitely can't coordinate multi-year plans to eventually land someone who's currently playing elsewhere. But Tibbetts just admitted that Phoenix tried to get Bonner during the 2023 offseason when she was with Connecticut, again during the 2024 offseason when she was still with Connecticut before signing with Indiana, and finally succeeded in 2025 after she forced her way out of Indiana. That's 3 consecutive years of pursuit, 2 of which involved a player under contract with another team. The phrase, "3rd time is a charm," isn't just a cute saying in this context. It's an admission of a pattern. It means Phoenix didn't give up after being rejected twice. They kept the door open, maintained contact, or at minimum maintained intent, and waited for their opportunity. And when Tibbetts casually mentioned that Alyssa Thomas helped, he implicated another player in what looks like a coordinated effort to manipulate roster moves across multiple teams. Thomas played for Connecticut alongside Bonner for years. They got engaged, their relationship is public, and nobody begrudges them wanting to play together. But there's a right way and a wrong way to make that happen. The right way is waiting until both players are free agents and can make decisions without contractual obligations hanging over them. The wrong way is using personal relationships to influence team decisions while contracts are still active. Here's where it gets even messier, and why Indiana Fever fans have every right to feel betrayed. If Thomas knew she was heading to Phoenix and used her influence to convince Bonner to follow, that's player tampering. If Phoenix communicated with Bonner through Thomas as a back channel while Bonner was still in Indiana, that's franchise tampering. Either way, the Fever got played. They paid top dollar for a veteran presence who had zero intention of fulfilling her commitment, and the evidence suggests everyone involved knew exactly how it would play out. Indiana became the financial middleman in a scheme that benefited everyone except them and their fans who bought jerseys and tickets, expecting to see a championship-caliber veteran help their young core develop. The reaction online was immediate and brutal. Fever fans who had been called conspiracy theorists for months suddenly had their smoking gun. The clip of Tibbetts spread across every WNBA platform, racking up millions of views within 48 hours. Comment sections exploded with the demands for investigations, fines, and even draft pick forfeitures as punishment. "This is the receipt," became the rallying cry. Phoenix admitted it on camera. National sports media, which had largely ignored the Bonner situation as just another player wanting a change of scenery, suddenly couldn't avoid the story. The optics were too bad, the admission too blatant, and the implications too serious to sweep under the rug. But here's the thing that makes the situation even more complicated as we head deeper into 2025. The WNBA has historically been terrible at enforcing tampering rules. Unlike the NBA, which occasionally drops the hammer with fines and lost draft picks, the WNBA has let similar situations slide with barely a slap on the wrist. There's a culture in the league of players having more power over their destinations than the collective bargaining agreement technically allows. And front offices often look the other way because nobody wants to be the villain who forces an unhappy player to stay. But this case is different because of the public admission and the financial component. Bonner didn't just request a trade. She got paid by Indiana for a contract she had no intention of honoring, then immediately landed with the team that her coach just admitted had been recruiting her for years. The Caitlin Clark factor adds another layer to why this stings so badly for Indiana. Clark, who's been dealing with her own injury issues in 2025, was supposed to have Bonner as a mentor during her crucial development phase. Instead, she got 9 games of half-hearted effort before the veteran bailed. Imagine being the most hyped rookie in WNBA history, carrying the weight of an entire franchise's revival on your shoulders, and the experienced champion brought in to guide you checks out before the season even gets going. That's not just bad roster management, that's a betrayal of the entire organizational vision. And if Clark, who's been nothing but professional through all the chaos Indiana has dealt with, ever speaks publicly about how Bonner's exit affected the team, it could add even more fuel to the tampering fire. Sophie Cunningham, who joined the Fever for the 2025 season after her time in Phoenix, has seen both sides of this equation. She knows the Mercury's culture, she knows how they operate, and while she's been professional in not throwing her former team under the bus, her presence in Indiana adds an interesting wrinkle. Cunningham brings the toughness and veteran presence that Bonner was supposed to provide, and she's actually delivered on that promise. The contrast between someone who commits to the team and someone who uses it as a stepping stone couldn't be more obvious to anyone watching Fever games this season. So where does this leave us as the 2025 season continues? The WNBA has remained suspiciously quiet about Tibbetts' comments. No investigation has been announced, no fines have been levied, and Phoenix continues to roll along with Bonner in their lineup like nothing happened. That silence is deafening to everyone who believes competitive integrity matters. If a coach can admit on camera that his team tampered with a player for multiple years and faced zero consequences, what message does that send to the rest of the league? It tells teams that the rules don't matter if you're willing to be brazen enough. It tells players that contracts are suggestions rather than commitments. And it tells fans that their investment in teams and players can be manipulated by backroom deals that make a mockery of fair competition. The broader implications for the WNBA's credibility can't be overstated. This is a league fighting for mainstream respect, for media coverage that goes beyond highlight clips, for sponsorship dollars that reflect the talent on display. But when your own coaches are casually admitting to tampering and nothing happens, it undermines everything the league is trying to build. Fans invest emotionally and financially in their teams because they believe in the legitimacy of the competition. When that legitimacy gets called into question by what looks like orchestrated roster manipulation, it damages the entire product. And in a league where every fan, every viewer, and every dollar matters for survival and growth, that damage has real consequences. Before we wrap this up, I need you to do something for me. If you've made it this far, you're clearly invested in seeing the truth come out about what happened with Dana Bonner and the Phoenix Mercury. So subscribe to this channel right now because we're not afraid to call out the stories that others won't touch. We're going to keep following this situation, and if the WNBA ever does launch an investigation, you'll hear about it here first. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update on this developing story. The Dana Bonner saga isn't over, not by a long shot. Public pressure has forced leagues to act before, and if enough people demand accountability, the WNBA might have no choice but to address what their own coach admitted on camera. Whether that means fines, lost draft picks, or new rules to prevent this kind of orchestrated tampering in the future remains to be seen. But one thing is crystal clear. The Indiana Fever got played. Nate Tibbetts exposed the game plan, and now the entire league has to decide whether the rules actually mean anything or if they're just suggestions for teams willing to gamble on not getting caught. What do you think should happen? Should Phoenix face punishment? Should Bonner have to forfeit the money Indiana paid her? Let me know in the comments because this conversation is far from over.